Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a new guest, Edward Karr. Edward is the founder of several investment management and investment banking firms based in Geneva, Switzerland, and has been active in the natural resource industry for years. Edward was a founder and currently serves on the board of directors of Pershing Gold Corp. He's a director and chair of the audit committee of Levon Resources. In 2004, Futures Magazine named him as one of the world's top traders. He is a past contributor to CNBC and has been quoted in numerous financial publications. Edward worked for Prudential Securities in the United States and has been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. He's the president CEO of US Gold Corp. That is usgoldcorp.gold. And I am very happy to have him on the X22 Report Spotlight. Edward, welcome to the Spotlight.
Dave, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Hey, thanks for being here. And I wanted to pick your brain on how the economy is doing right now. I mean, we see these fantastic statistical numbers. Unemployment at 4.4%. They're telling us that GDP is going to hit 4%. The stock market keeps going up. Do you believe these statistical numbers? Is the economy doing as well as they're telling us?
Well, absolutely not. And I'm sure, as you know, and all of your subscribers know, statistics can be manipulated any way they want. And the U.S. government certainly has a history of manipulating economic statistics. When you look specifically at the unemployment numbers, record low unemployment. But what do? They go out and they change the way they actually calculate the unemployment numbers. So if you're not actively looking for a job, there aren't too many great jobs out there to be had. So all the people that are disenfranchised, that don't even look for a job anymore, you're not counted as unemployed anymore. You have just miraculously disappeared from the entire population of working people. So all of these government statistics, I think you have to take with a grain of salt. You look at the economy out there and look at some of the other statistics. We've got the auto subprime market is absolutely imploding. We've got consumer installment debt at all-time highs, even higher than the peak before the financial crisis. Student loans are a massive problem in the United States. First-time home sales are down dramatically. In fact, the proportion of like 30 to 45-year-olds living at home still with their family is at all-time highs because these people can't even afford to go out and to buy a home to put the down payment because the wages aren't there. So I think the statistics are the government's trying to paint this super rosy picture so the consumers stay excited. They go out and max out their credit cards and go on the extra vacation to Disney World. But I think you got to really start being careful. This economic expansion is one of the longest on history, and I'd say we're definitely in the 8th or 9th inning of the ballgame.
So, I mean, Trump has been out there and he's been telling us, how many jobs he's been bringing back to the United States and how he's trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States. From your viewpoint, has he brought any jobs back? Has he brought manufacturing back to the States?
The only thing that Trump has really done well is probably increase global warming with all of his hot air. So he's had a lot of rhetoric and it sounded great. The market had a great rally on Trump coming in. There was huge expectations and a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. The successful business leader, Washington, D.C. outsider is going to come in, is going to shake things up, and the economy is going to do great. But when you actually look at what he's done, his first major policy that he was really trying to push forward was repeal of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That did not happen. It was a major failure. We've been hearing that we're going to get tax reform. That has not happened yet. We're supposed to get this big, massive infrastructure spending bill, and the United States really does need to upgrade its infrastructure. That hasn't happened yet. So this big Trump bump that we've had in the equity markets and all of the expectations, I think that there's a real danger moving now towards the end of the summer into September, October, November, which are historically very weak times for the equity markets. I think this becomes the Trump dump when people realize that, he's not going to get any of these policy enactments through in a very, very confrontational Washington, D.C. World.
Now, you mentioned the market, and the market continually moves up, but precious metals, they've been having a very tough time. Every time they move up, we see a lot of paper contracts thrown at them. What is your take on what is happening in the precious metals market?
I'm actually really encouraged with the price action in the precious metals market. And we've been through one of the most difficult bear markets in notable memory for anyone in this sector. You talk to people that have been in the mining or the natural resource precious metals sector over the 40, 50 last years. This most recent bear market has been one of the most severe, the longest, and the most difficult. But we've seen gold stabilize off the lows. Gold hit a low of about $1,000 an ounce. And today we're bumping up to the $1,300 price point. So that's a 30% rise off the lows. And you're exactly right. Whenever gold starts to get a little bit of a bid, starts to make a rally in the market, it seems like these gold major center banks come in and they just smash it through the futures and the paper money. But I'm really encouraged. The one thing the last bear market did is it's subsided a lot of major mining projects out there. The economics, they became uneconomical. They were losing money. And so a lot of the supply has been taken out of the market. And the demand is actually increasing, not just in the United States. The United States average American doesn't really even own that much physical gold or silver. But when you look outside the United States, where this demand for gold is coming from, it's coming out of Asia, it's coming out of India, it's coming out of Russia, it's even coming out of South America. People are really starting to go back towards gold, and they view it as a store of value. So I'm really encouraged with the price of the metals, and I think that the precious metals are going to have a very good rally here going into the fall of 2017.
I agree with you. I think the price of precious metals have been kept down for quite a while. I mean, China and Russia, they've been accumulating a huge amount of gold, and they're continually adding to their stores. And right now, there's many different companies, mining companies, looking for gold. Actually, there was an article in Bloomberg Markets where they're saying that the amount of gold discovered last year was down 85% compared with 2006. Are you seeing a shortage of gold right now, or do you think there's a lot of hot spots where gold is just sitting there waiting to be discovered?
Well, I think that as the price of gold increases, you will have more and more emphasis on exploration. The big mining companies in the world, they have, over this last severe bear market, they took on a lot of debt. They did mergers and acquisitions. They bought properties, maybe in some difficult political jurisdictions. It might be South America, Africa, some of the Far East or STAN countries. And a lot of those projects had very high all-in sustaining cost of production, $1,500, $1,700, $1,800 an ounce. So as that bear market came in and the gold price got smashed all the way down to $1,000 an ounce, all of those projects became uneconomic, and they had to divest them and focused on their real profitable, high-grade producing assets. So the big major mining companies right now, they're in great shape. They've divested the very expensive projects. They've paid off a lot of debt. They've really cleaned up their balance sheet. And these are becoming cash flow machines now as the price of the precious metals increase. But they haven't been really doing any sort of exploration for the last several years. There hasn't been major new discoveries out there. And I think that as the price of metals starts to increase, I really believe we're in the first inning of a 9-inning ball game of a new bull market setting up. This fall, we're probably going to push through $1,300 in gold. And so you'll have a lot of the big major mining companies looking to either acquire small junior exploration companies that prove up discoveries, or they'll start ramping up exploration on their own. Because the global appetite is, as you rightly pointed out, it's really increasing. I mean, the Chinese are hoovering up all the gold they can. They buy all of their domestic production in China. The World Gold Council doesn't even have accurate numbers on how much gold the Chinese central bank really holds. But a lot of us in the industry believe that one day in the not too distant future, the Chinese central bank, they really want the renminbi to be part of the global SDR, the special drawing right. And if they come out and say, look, world, we have 30-40% backing of our reserves in hard gold, I think the world would get really excited. I mean, they even import gold into China through Hong Kong that they buy on the global markets. And if you're a buyer of anything, of course you want to buy it at a lower price. So they could manipulate the markets through the paper contracts, actually be buying physical at a very, very advantageous price. And when they have enough, boom, they could really pop the price up very quickly.
Now, gold majors, they are targeting the Yukon territory. And I know your company is looking at many different opportunities also. I mean, are you allowed to talk about what you're doing in Nevada?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are really focused in the United States. We're focused on Nevada and Wyoming. And I know there's a great boom going on up in the Yukon, and it is a new gold rush happening up there. But what's different about Nevada? You know, Nevada is one of the best places in the world and certainly North America to explore for gold, especially north central Nevada. And there's 2 or 3 specific reasons. Number one, the United States is still, for the time being, a very politically friendly, mining friendly country. We've got the rule of law, and Nevada is a great state to be mining in. Number two, you have major gold trends in Nevada. You have the world famous Karr trend. Our project, Keystone and Gold Bar North, are located a trend over. It's called the Battle Mountain Eureka trend or the Cortez trend. These are major trends of gold that are so well endowed with major mines. And the third thing that you have in Nevada is you have major infrastructure, roads, power, water, mills. I mean, between Barrick Gold and Newmont Mining, they have approximately $5 billion worth of capex in north central Nevada. So this is everything from their mills to their processing facilities to their equipment, you know, the dump trucks, the big shovel scoopers, everything. So if a small junior exploration company like ours comes up with a discovery, our Keystone property is located just 10 miles south of Barrick's Cortez Hills mine. So they've got major infrastructure there, and they're depleting their mines every single day. So they certainly want more ore. Now, if you come up with a discovery in the northern Yukon, it might be great if you hit a major discovery of several million ounces, but you're going to have to look to the capital markets to potentially raise billions of dollars to build a processing facility to ultimately extract that ore. With being in Nevada, I mean, you're so close to the majors. The odds are, if you prove up an economic discovery, you will be a potential takeover target in the near future.
Now, out in Nevada, have you found a huge gold deposit? Or, I mean, have your researchers looked into this? What have you found so far?
Yeah, great question. And we are an exploration company. So we are out there really at early stages. This is generative exploration. And our flagship property, Keystone, has been identified and staked by legendary Nevada geologist Dave Mathewson. Dave has a 50-year career, 35 years of that in Nevada alone. He used to run the exploration program for Newmont Mining in the Great Basin for many years. So tremendous experience. So Dave is a real ore finder. He's the type of geo that goes out, takes an early stage project that maybe has had a little bit of historical drilling and geophysical studies, and he likes the location. You know, the gold exploration industry is just like the real estate industry. It's all about location. And we believe Keystone is one of the best locations out there. In fact, Dave Mathewson, he believes that Keystone is the best exploration project he has seen in his career. So when we first identified this, Mathewson's very patient, tenacious. He's been on and off this property for more than 30 years trying to get control. He ultimately got control in 2015. We did a deal. We brought it into U.S. Gold Corp. Then we've done geophysical studies on the property to make sure, is this property, does it have the potential even to host gold? We went out, we've done drilling last year and this year. That drilling in the beginning is what we call scout holes. Again, these aren't to target a real deposit. We just want to make sure, is the property capable of hosting a big major Carlin-style gold deposit? And all of the information we have so far is telling us absolutely yes. We have the right host rocks. We have tremendous alteration, brecciated rock. It really, really looks positive. We have the same sort of stratigraphy on Keystone that makes up the major mines north of us, Cortez Hills and Pipeline. So we believe the potential for a discovery is very, very possible at Keystone.
Now, mining companies, they've been hit hard for the past couple of years. Do you see changes coming? Are there majors? Are they in a place to purchase exploration companies?
You know, we're just starting to see a little trickle of M&A, of mergers and acquisitions in the industry. I think what's going to happen myself is as the price of gold starts moving above 1,300, when you look at a company just north of us like Barrick Gold, and if you go on their website, you can see that between Pipeline and Cortez Hills, Barrick Gold last year produced just over 1 million ounces of gold at an all-in sustaining cash cost of just north of $600. Well, with gold at $1,300, those two mines throw off $700 million a year cash flow. Tremendously profitable. So as the price of gold continues to move up, a lot of investors, maybe hedge fund managers, value investors, pension funds, they're going to start moving capital into the precious metal sector. They'll start with the big miners, and these stocks will start moving because they'll throw off tremendous dividend yields as this sector really starts moving out. The next sector to move will be the mid-tiers, and finally, the junior exploration companies. And what's happened in the mining industry over the last decade or so is most of the major companies have really laid off the exploration risk. They've got rid of a lot of their geological exploration teams, specifically their real early stage generative teams. They're focusing on their existing discoveries, and they let the junior companies like US Gold Corp go out and try and prove up a discovery. And once we do, and we could prove up a potential discovery at Keystone, that's when some of the majors would come in and look and say, this makes a great acquisition for us. So I think that there will be a lot more acquisitions of the smaller explorers as this bull market starts to build up, probably into 2018, 2019. But they need the fundamentals. You know, they need to come in and actually show that they have a discovery. Just to give you an example, Dave Mathewson's last company at Gold Standard Ventures, he was one of the founders there with Luke Norman, and they proved up a major discovery at their flagship property called Railroad on the Carlin Trend. That allowed them to bring in two major shareholders, Goldcorp and Oceana Gold. And probably at some point, that company will be taken over because they have a real discovery there. So that's the same thing we're trying to do at Keystone. It's early stages for us, but Mathewson believes it's the best project he's seen in his career.
Now, I wanted to just stay on the gold topic because Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, he did something very interesting. He visited Fort Knox. Now, the last time this happened, the last time a Treasury Secretary visited Fort Knox was like 70 years ago. And he told us that, the gold is safe. Of course, we have no footage. We don't know if it really is safe. Why? And in your mind, and maybe you have some answers, why do you think all of a sudden he went down to Fort Knox to check on the gold?
It's very, very bizarre as to the timing. And if you look at some of the other events that are happening right now in real time, Germany just repatriated all of their gold back from the New York Fed and the Bank of France. So they've taken it now back to the Bundesbank in Frankfurt. So all of their gold, they've just moved it. And Mnuchin going down to Fort Knox and actually saying, don't worry, guys, the gold is safe. Well, is it? There's been so many reports and hypotheses that maybe the gold isn't there. Even if the gold is there, maybe the bullion banks have actually lent it out, so the U.S. government doesn't even own it anymore. Is it real gold? Is it tungsten bars? We don't know. It'd be very easy to audit that. All gold bars have certificates. It could be audited very easily, just like the Federal Reserve of the United States could be audited very easily. But the Federal Reserve is a private company. When you tell most people that the Federal Reserve is as federal as Federal Express, most people don't know that. They don't understand it's a private company. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we probably will find out whether the gold is there or whether it's not. But I don't know why the sudden timing and why the sudden interest in Fort Knox and why he would come out and say that.
Now, the central banks for many, many years, they've been telling us that gold is a barbarous relic, and they continually tell us that, it's not really important, you shouldn't own it. Why should everyone own gold and silver? Why should they keep it?
Look, gold at the end of the day is an insurance policy. So gold is something that has stood the test of time and will maintain purchasing power parity over time. And you look at something recently in the last couple of years, like the tremendous rise of these cryptocurrencies. People are saying, oh, gold's dead because I can buy Bitcoin. Well, I think Bitcoin is wonderful to speculate in, but to me, none of the cryptocurrencies are insurance policies. Gold has been around. In the time of the Roman Empire, you could get a really nice custom suit for about an ounce of gold. And today, with gold around $1,300, I can get a really nice suit in New York, Milan, London, Hong Kong for $1,300. So that's what gold does. It maintains your wealth over thousands of years. Will Bitcoin be around in 50 years, 500 years, 1,000 years? I have no idea. I know that gold will. It certainly will. And it's something that you want to have as an insurance policy. Look at just in South America right now, look at Venezuela. Their country is absolutely imploding. The Venezuela Bolivar has just been melting away like snow on a hot summer day. And it's such a shame. It's a very wealthy country. It's a member of OPEC. They got tremendous natural resources. And it's all politicians mismanaging the country and the central bank just printing money like Zimbabwe that are destroying the population. But if you're an average Venezuelan and you would have had some 1 ounce gold coins, at least you would maintain your purchasing power parity through a tremendous economic crisis like this. So it's the same way. The United States dollar as a reserve currency, this has not been around even that long. Is it going to last another 100 years, 200 years? I'll tell you, with the chaos in Washington, D.C., with the absolute insanity of central bankers globally with quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, 4 ad infinitum, I don't know. A lot of us start to get nervous and wonder, where is this going to end with negative interest rates? And it's really scary. So having some gold, having some silver, it actually protects you and your loved ones, and it's a real great insurance policy just in case, other assets and reserve currencies melt down.
Going forward, where do you see the precious metals market going? I mean, right now, it's been holding steady. Going forward, do you think precious metals is going to take a big leap up?
I don't know if we're going to have a big leap and a big pop. I mean, but if you look at this global macro world that we live in, and you look at, really the instability, whether it's the North Koreans with nuclear weapons, the instability in the Middle East, maybe Iranians get a nuclear weapon. The United States is trying to really crack down and be a little stronger now in Pakistan. We're seeing all these terrorism incidents in Europe. Who knows? Tremendous political instability in the United States. So any number of factors could really trigger a crisis out there. And I think in something like that, gold would really have the propensity to melt up more than melt down. I think there'd be a huge rush into it. But overall, I mean, I'm quite bullish on precious metals. I think gold's going to do well. I think silver's going to do well just because of the supply and demand imbalances. It's a finite metal. There is strong demand, both from central banks, from jewelry, from average investors out there trying to diversify themselves. The world's population is still growing. And I think that as well, inflation is starting to rear its ugly head. When you look out there and you see the inflation, it's kind of stealth inflation. But when you look at healthcare costs, there's inflation. When you look at education costs, there's inflation. When you look at the rise of some of these FANG stocks, there's inflation out there. So even though you don't see it in the government statistics, all of us in our daily lives, we know that there is inflation out there. And in that sort of environment, I think that the precious metals can perform really, really well.
Ed, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people see your work and how can they find out information about your company?
Yeah, I think our website is a great place to start. So you can check that out at www.usgoldcorp.gold. And on the website, you can sign up for information, follow our press releases, look at all of our SEC filings, and just keep an eye on the company. We're very, very excited. We got great properties, both in Nevada and our Copper King project in Wyoming. And we think it's early stages of the next bull market, and we're in a great place at a great time.
Ed, once again, thank you very much for being on the Spotlight. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for the interest in U.S. Gold Corp.
Thank you.